In this lesson, we will be creating stem and leaf plots. Our goal is to analyze and display data using stem and leaf plots. So, how do I create a stem and leaf plot? Well, it's important to first understand what a stem and leaf plot is. Stem and leaf plots are a method for showing the frequency in which certain classes of values occur. What does that mean? You can substitute it for a frequency table for a histogram, for example, but also it just tells you how often a number occurs. Now, the unique thing about a stem and leaf plot is the stem, or what's on the left column, is your tens place. If you have single-digit numbers, such as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, then you have a 0 in your tens place. Your leaves, of course, are your ones place. So in this set of data, the numbers I have are 8, 9, 10, 11, 11, 14, I have nothing in my 20s, and 31. So this can help us, of course, see trends. For example, in this, I can see that the most numbers are in the tens place. And I also notice that I kind of have one that might be considered an outlier. So stem and leaf plots are just another way of organizing data. What's important to know is your place value when setting up a stem and leaf plot. Again, stem is your tens, not tenths, but tens. Your leaf is your ones place. So, let's try an example. Birthday party. Patrick attended his cousin's first birthday party. The ages of those attending are listed below. 1, 12, 32, 18, 11, 63, 1, 76, 26, 3, 8, 27, 40, 14, 5, 84, 4, 17, 2, 13, 34, and 27. Hopefully you had enough time to copy those down while I was saying them. Use a stem and leaf plot to organize the data. What do you notice about the measures of central tendency? So first we have to set up our stem and leaf plot. And it's important to note that our smallest number is 1, so that means we are going to have a 0 in our tens spot. And our largest number is 84, so I'm going to organize this from 0 to 8. So now I've organized my stems, which is my tens place. Now I can move on to organizing my leaves. So my youngest age is 1, and I can see that I have that popping up a couple times. So I have to put it each time it occurs. So I have 1 and 1. Moving on to my 2s. I have 2 2-year-olds, and 3, 4, and 5. And I think that's it. Oh, and I also have an 8. So there's my 0 column. I'm going to put this in a different color. Now looking at my tens, in case I miss any. I have an 11-year-old, a 12-year-old, 13-year-old, 14-year-old. So again, I just write the last digit, a 17 and an 18-year-old. All right, moving on, we have 26 and 27, a 32-year-old, 34-year-old, a 40-year-old, no one in their 50s, a 63-year-old, a 76-year-old, and an 84-year-old. Now when I'm looking at this data, I can also see that I've missed a 27-year-old, so I need to make sure that I put that twice. So now that I've crossed off all of my numbers, double check to make sure I have everything, now I can organize this. I could use a histogram, and the nice thing about organizing it as histograms is you can organize the numbers nicely into groups, especially by tens, 0 to 9, 10 to 19, etc. But in this case, we can stop here and just notice some measures of central tendency. So in this graph, I notice that I don't have anyone in their 50s at this party particularly, And I can see that the majority of children are between 1 and 18, or the majority of people at the party are between 1 and 18. And then there are a couple of people on the high end. I could probably assume that those might be grandparents. So analyzing this data, if it was me analyzing it, I'd probably say that there's a lot of families, because we do see a lot of spread. We have a lot of kids, or younger people I should say, and quite a few people in their 20s and 30s. So that can tell us that there's probably some families here, which is kind of typical of a 1-year-old's birthday party. So I hope that helped you when organizing data displays. If you're like Layla, you might have just wanted a cupcake from that tutorial. So now it's your turn. Look at the guided practice, test scores. India recorded the test scores of her study group. So we have 93%, 85, 54, 78, 96, 98, 85, 90, 89, and 65. Organize the data on a stem and leaf plot. Do you think her study group was effective? Explain. How could you investigate further? What information would you need? Be prepared to use this information because we are going to have it for our number talk next time. So go ahead and take a minute to pause the tutorial, copy down your data, and then make sure you're organizing it into a stem and leaf plot. Talk about what you notice. In this lesson, you have analyzed and organized data displays using stem and leaf plots. Remember, stem and leaf plots are a way of organizing information similar to that of a frequency table. It's important that you always know your place value when dealing with stem and leaf plots. And don't forget, if a number is repeated, make sure you repeat it in your stem and leaf plot. Another great job again!